Good morning. 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 Welcome to Mornings with Marvel, where authenticity lives and thrives to create a space of growth, healing, and joy. I am your host, Andrea Lawful Sanders, and each day we will cover the topics that are informative and engaging while learning from each other. Good morning to each and every one of you. It is Election Day in New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, Virginia, and a slew of other states. So, in honor of this day, instead of having a guest on, we're going to talk about all things elections. I'm going to give you what the Committee of 70 says about what's happening in Pennsylvania first. We're going to focus here first, and then we're going to cover some news around New York, Virginia, New Jersey, etc. And this is a part of the tri-state area for those of you who are listening that are not from not in the United States, because there are people listening to the show, watching the show that's not in the United States. So here are some important details you need to know for today in Pennsylvania. Polls are open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. The busiest time of day to vote are in the morning and evening. If you can, try going at less busy times. Again, before you go off to work this morning, if you know you have to be at work by 9 o'clock, 8:30, 9 o'clock, and you can possibly squeezing it at 7 this morning, please make sure as soon as the polls open, which is in another 29 minutes, that you get out and exercise your right to vote. If you cannot do it before you go into work, I'm going to ask that you, as soon as you get off from work, polls are open until 8 p.m. You dash yourself, do a mad dash and go on to the polling station and get your vote in. If you are in line before 8 p.m., when polls close, you will be allowed to cast your vote. So let's say you get to the lines at 7:58. They will allow you to cast your vote. If you are voting by mail, your county election office must receive your completed mail ballot by 8 p.m. today. So if you're voting by mail and you forgot to put it in the mailbox and it's now election day, find one of your county elections office to receive your completed mail ballot by 8 p.m. today. So they need to receive your completed mail ballot by 8 p.m. today, November 4th. So much has been going on. I really should have invited, and I'm looking at his face. I'm the commissioner. I'm looking right at his face. I used to talk to him all the time around election time. So forgive me, sir. Omar Sabir, Commissioner Omar Sabir, who I would normally have on, and it slipped my mind, and I didn't have a chance to tell my producer to get him on so we could talk. And if you're listening, sir, if someone's listening that knows you, that can have you call in, Naga sister, just put a message in here and let me know, because I'm happy to have him on to talk about what's going on in Pennsylvania. Okay, so I'm going to go over, good morning to all of you. I'm going to go over to the voter guide for the Committee of 70, right? So here are the elections that are in Philadelphia, uh, starting with the district attorney and the city controller and the judge of elections, inspector of elections. I'm going to start with the district attorney and tell you who is running for this office. I love the Committee of 70. The district attorney prosecutes crimes committed in the county and works closely with local, state, and federal law enforcement to ensure the laws of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania are upheld and that citizens are protected. The district attorney has authority over criminal investigations and prosecutions in the county. That's the steps of which include preliminary hearings, pre-trial conferences, guilty plea trials, and appeals. The DA is elected citywide for a 4-year term, and there are no term limits. These are the two people running for office. Larry Krasner, who's the Democrat, and Pat Dugan, who's running as a Republican. You've heard enough from either one of them, I'm sure, I hope, I pray, so you know what you're supposed to do. Okay, let me go back over here. The city controller elections, the city's chief financial officer responsible for auditing agencies, their performance and spending. The two people running are Christy Brady and Ari Patrionis, who is a Republican. Ari is the Republican. Christy Brady is the Democrat. You get to choose who of these two people you want to vote for. All right, let me go back over here. Judge of elections. These are elected poll worker positions who interact with voters on primary and general election days to make sure their experience is as seamless as possible. You get to elect your judge of elections and inspector of elections. So that's happening today. You get to do that, and I don't see here in the Committee of 70 who these people are. Okay. Then there are 3 statewide judicial offices on the 2025 ballot. The Superior and Commonwealth Courts will each have 1 vacant seat up for elections. Additionally, the Supreme Court, Superior Court, and Commonwealth Court will each have retention elections for terms that expire in January 2026. Make sure your vote is informed. The Pennsylvania Bar Judicial Evaluation Commission makes nonpartisan recommendations on candidates' ability, integrity, and judgment. It says see those recommendations here. And again, I'm on the Committee of 70, so I'm giving you all you need before you go on out here and do what you have to do. All right. The Supreme Court of Pennsylvania, these are the people they recommend. Christine Donahue. This candidate is in her 10th year of service on the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania, and before the time she served 8 years on the Superior Court of Pennsylvania. Justice Donahue has distinguished her Supreme Court tenure as a jurist who is thorough and well prepared for oral arguments, treats litigants respectfully, is smart and fair, and is attentive and engaged during oral arguments. I'm sorry. Yes. And engaged during oral arguments. The candidate is well qualified, is of impeccable character, and possesses a fine judicial temperament that is well suited for the Supreme Court. For these reasons, the Commission recommends the candidate's retention as a judge on the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania. Justice Kevin Doherty. Justice Doherty is recommended for retention. Justice Doherty served as a court on the Philadelphia Court of Common Pleas from 2001 until 2015, when he was elected to the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. The attorneys who appeared before Justice Doherty describe him as attentive, smart, well-prepared, open for consideration of different perspectives, with a temperament and demeanor that is respectful and professional. He writes opinions that are thoughtful, clear, concise, and well organized. Justice Doherty has earned high marks from the legal community for his efforts to assist the court in addressing a broad range of complex legal issues, including matters of first impression. He is devoted to community service, promotes support for youth, and promotes excellence and diversity in law enforcement. For these reasons, the Commission recommends the candidate's retention as a judge on the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania. And then last, they have recommended for retention Justice David Wecht. Following 9 years as a Court of Common Pleas trial judge, this candidate served 4 years as a Superior Court judge before his election to the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania, where he is now in his 10th year. The candidate gives careful consideration to oral arguments and discharges his duties as a justice with fairness, equity, and respect for all. His opinions are well written and logical, often viewed as helpful and instructive. Justice Wecht possesses the legal ability, experience, integrity, intelligence, and work ethic to continue performing the duties of a Supreme Court justice, and his judicial temperament is above reproach. Wow. Finally, the candidate serves on a number of committees for the courts, participates in continuing education panels for attorneys, and remain active with various bar associations. For these reasons, the Commission recommends the candidate's retention as a judge on the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania. Now, these 3 judges that I just spoke of, Justice Wecht, Justice Doherty, and Justice Donahue are the three people that everyone in Pennsylvania are asking that if we want to keep Pennsylvania safe, that you vote for these three to be retained on the Supreme Court. So much so, I think I got something from the governor, something from the mayor, something. My phone continues to buzz about it, and there's a reason why this election is important. So I need you all to pay attention and go do your homework, right? Ask why. All right, so I'm going back over here. So those are the three Supreme Court judges. Okay. All right. So in the Commonwealth Court of Pennsylvania, Judge Stella Tsai was highly recommended. Judge Michael Wojcik, Wojcik, I'm not really sure how to pronounce that, recommended for retention. Matthew L. Wolford, highly recommended for retention. And one who did not advance, not recommended for failure to participate, was Joshua Prince, right? Again, I'm giving you all you need to know so you can't say no one told you. All right. So I'm going back over here and then we'll talk a little bit about it. In November, PA voters will decide via yes or no to retain 3 separate judges on the state Supreme Court, which I just read for you. Judge of Superior Court, there's 1 vacant seat up for election and 1 retention election for this intermediate appellate court, which rules on most civil and criminal cases. And they put out the people who are running. Brandon Newman is the Democrat running for that vacant seat. Maria Batista is a Republican running for that vacant seat. And Daniel Wasmer for the Liberal Party. This is why we tell you all to pay attention and do what you need to do, because you're going to go in the polls and go, who are these people? Who are these people? All right. So for the Judge of Commonwealth Court, there is 1 vacant seat up for election and 1 retention election for this intermediate appellate court, which rules on cases related to state and local governments. Over here again, these are the people running: Stella Tsai, who is the Democrat, and Matt Wolford, who is the Republican. Okay, the candidate for retention is Wojcik for the Commonwealth Court judge. He's up for retention. So go ahead and take a look at that when you go into the polls this morning. I'm going to do some information about other races, not local, but I really do want to make sure that you all know this. The Judge of Common Pleas, these district courts hear criminal and civil cases on matters involving children and families, as well as appeals from the municipal court. So the candidates for the elections, the voters will be told to choose not more than 11. Will Braverman, Democratic. Sarah Jones, Democratic. Deborah Watson Stokes, Democratic. Kia Gee, Democratic. Arena Ehrlich, Democratic. Larry Farnese, Democratic. Leon King II, Democratic. Brian Kisielewski, Democratic. Anthony Stefanski, Democratic. Joseph Russo, Democratic. And Jennifer Santiago, Democratic. The candidates for retention are Gwendolyn Bright, Ann Butchart, Scott DeClaudio, Michael Fannin, Dane Gray Jr., Christopher Malios, Walter Olszewski, Frank Palumbo, Rainey Papademetrio, Tracy Roman, Stephanie Sawyer, Susan Shulman, and Lyris Young. These are the judges that are up for retention. Voters are asked to vote yes or no on whether to re-elect each judge seeking retention. The names of the candidates are listed on a separate area of the ballot, apart from individuals running for executive and legislative offices. No political affiliation is listed for retention judges, right? So these are the choices that you have. Let me see over here. And that's what's happening, right? So these are the things that are happening in Philadelphia. Now, I'm going to go over here. I'm going to open the chat. It's hard when I'm the only one on. Good morning, good morning, good morning. All right. Angela says she's on her way to vote. That's what I want to hear. Good morning, Marguerite. Bobby is working the polls, so he cannot see the show. That's all right. It's only my face. There's nothing else to see. Good morning to all of you. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I see you here. You get to decide who is it that you want to vote for this morning. There are in Abington, Shaquilla, send me the list of people in the county in Abington who are up for retention in the offices, so that we know, right? So Monica Adams, all right, Monica's getting ready to go vote. Good morning, Dennis. I see all of you. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I am praying that all of you that are listening to me are on your way to vote today. Please, 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 on your way to vote today. This is so important, right? And so we want to make sure that you all have had an opportunity to exercise your right to vote. It is important. This is why I'm spending the entire show talking about the elections, not just locally here to Philadelphia, but nationally. There's just some things going on. All right now. All right, Laura says she's at the gym, but we'll be at the poll 7:01. Okay, this is what I want to hear. This is what the elections that they're mostly concerned about right now are the Supreme Court judges. They have been those three people who have been, and these are that's across the state. So you want to make sure at the statewide level, you get to vote for these Supreme Court judges, either to retain them or not. And so you need to go. We've been talking about this, how important it is. Even the governor of Pennsylvania has jumped in and said, and the mayor of Philadelphia, everybody's saying, listen, if these three are not retained, we're going to have some serious issues down the pike. One of the issues that I want to talk about with all of you is this. Just 7 weeks into his second term, Donald Trump was asked about the possibility of his economic agenda creating a downturn, at least in the short term. Are you expecting a recession this year? Fox News' Maria Bartiromo asked. The president responded with a great many words. None of them was no. There is a concern that parts of this country is already in deep recession and more is coming. And so we have to figure out, what that looks like. Let me just look. There was a thing that I had in. All right, let's see. Mark Zandi, the chief economist at Moody's, has issued a stark warning about the U.S. economy, suggesting it is teetering on the brink of a recession. His recent analysis highlights several indicators pointing to an impending economic downturn with significant implications for the average American. Zandi's insights draw attention to the ongoing economic pressures that could exacerbate the situation, making his warnings particularly relevant in today's financial climate, right? Lord have mercy. It's long, so I'm not gonna. Jesus, it's too much. It is just a lot, y'all. And so people are trying to figure out how they're going to manage through this. And I'm not really sure what is going to come out of this. So let me go over here now to the New York City race. There's so much. When you open up these things, it is so much going on here. With the latest pollster indications, this is written by Chanchai. With the latest pollsters indications, the primary contest is shaping up to be a primary battle. This was written on November 4th, this morning. And Andrew Cuomo, the Republican nominee Curtis Silva, is trailing behind both Cuomo and Mandani. New York City's mayoral race has reached its final phase, with voting underway ahead of the November 4th election to decide who will become the next leader of the city. At the center of the New York mayor election are Democratic nominee Zohran Mandani versus former New York governor and independent candidate Andrew Cuomo versus Republican Curtis Silva, the air is charged up as more and more people have come to cast their votes in the New York mayor election. So far, in the New York City Board of Elections, 734,317 early votes have been cast in the past 9 days. According to the New York City Board of Elections, Sunday alone saw a historic turnout of 151,212 early voters, the highest single day total ever recorded in New York City's history. With the latest pollster indications, the primary contest is shaping up to be a primary battle between Zoran Mandani and Andrew Cuomo. The Republican nominee, Curtis Silva, is trailing behind both Cuomo and Mandani. Zoran Mandani has emerged as the front runner in the New York City mayoral race, with 2 polls indicating he holds a double-digit lead over Andrew Cuomo. According to the latest Real Clear Politics average, Zoran Mandani, Democrat, is leading with a 45.8% support. Andrew Cuomo, Independent, trails with 31.1, a minus 14.7 points behind Mandani. And Curtis Silva, the Republican, stands at 17% support, 28 points behind Mandani. A recent Quinnipiac University poll found Mandani leading with 43% support compared with Cuomo's 33%, and Republican Curtis Silva trailing at 14%. On October 10th, it showed Mandani leading with 46% support, while Cuomo trailed at the same 33%. Now, why is this important, y'all? Mandani is seen as a socialist. The Democrats, never mind the Republicans, the Democrats just wanted no parts of him because he was not business as usual. And as we can see from the election, twice election of President Donald Trump, people want something different. We can't keep talking about these incremental things. It's been decades of incremental talking. And so you're going to see more of this, which is why I am interviewing anyone running for elections locally and at some point nationally, to hear their voices, to ask them, what is it that makes you? You heard me say it to Dr. Ayla Stanford. You and Dr. Carl Morris are the dark horses in the election. The way things work in Philadelphia anyway is that you have to go and talk to the people, get their endorsement, and then you do what you're supposed to do. The first time I saw someone step up against the Democratic Party and won was Ayanna Pressley. In Massachusetts, right? And they said she couldn't win, blah 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 blah. This is not just a turning point for Republicans. This is a turning point for the Democratic Party too. And so what's happening now, the endorsed candidate who would normally get all the votes are not getting the votes, right? You have to really push. And then when we look at AI and how people are voting, but their votes are not showing up, it's a lot, right? So I am going to tell you a little bit. It's a lot. The polls suggest Mandani's popularity is driven by his perceived ability to tackle pressing issues such as housing affordability, which is huge in New York City. Around 60% of likely voters view him as inspirational, possessing good character, and caring for ordinary New Yorkers. He holds a broad base across racial and ethnic groups, leading among Hispanic voters and narrowly leading of Cuomo among Black voters. His proposal to freeze rent increases on rent-stabilized units is particularly popular, receiving nearly 70% support, including from some Cuomo and Adams backers. His stance on taxing wealthy New Yorkers also enjoys broad approval. The survey also found him leading on foreign policy, with 43% of voters favoring his approach to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, compared to 16% for Cuomo. Mandani has been outspoken on Palestinian rights, while Cuomo remains a strong supporter of Israel. Despite his lead, he faces skepticism over his experience. He is 34 years old. I told you all. Stop sleeping on the young people. I kept saying it, but y'all like, well, they're not experienced, they don't know, blah, 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 right? About 2/3 of voters, including half of his supporters, doubt he can deliver all of his ambitious campaign promises. His Democratic Socialist affiliation divides voters, with 30%, 37% seeing it positively, 32% negatively, and 26% neutral. Proposals like making buses free for all face mixed support. Cuomo has taken a more aggressive approach in recent weeks, framing Mandami as inexperienced and ideological extreme. His past governorship is seen positively by 57% of likely voters in terms of effectiveness. Cuomo's policies on rent stabilized apartments and hiring 5,000 additional police officers received broad support even from some Mandani backers. Mayor Adams faces his, well, he dropped out of the race, and Silva. It just came out that President Trump says he's not supporting Silva, he doesn't back him. So a lot going on there. Lots going on there. Okay, let's also see. I pulled up the Virginia race, and now I don't see it. Oh, here it is. Who child? Yes, Lord. Let me take a sip because we need to talk about this Virginia race. No matter who wins this election, Virginia is set to elect its first female governor, right? This is MSN that wrote this. Virginia voters head to polls Tuesday to select its first female governor, choosing between Democrat Abigail Spanberger and Republican Winsome Earl Sears in a historic election widely watched as a referendum on the administration of President Donald Trump and a snapshot of the nation's political mood. Expected to be sunny and mild for the weekend. Caps a flurry of last minute election day, expected to be sunny and mild, caps a flurry of last-minute campaigning over the weekend, including former President Barack Obama appearing in Norfolk on Saturday on behalf of Spanberger and fellow Democrats, while Republicans rallied in Northern Virginia. On Monday night, Trump staged a telephone rally with the state GOP in which he blasted the terrible Democratic candidates, but did not endorse Earl Sears nor even mention her by name. Ain't this a blippity blip? Get out and vote for these unbelievably great Republican candidates up and down the line, Trump said in a call with supporters. Both parties sent thousands of door knockers through neighborhoods over the past few days, and the candidates wrapped up bus doors across the countryside. The reason we're going to win is because we have great candidates who are running on the issues that people care about, Democratic National Committee Chairman Ken Martin told a group of volunteers Monday morning in Williamsburg as they prepared to canvass for votes. There is still persuadable voters out there, so let's go out and get them. And there's a picture of Spanberger with former President Barack Obama this weekend. Winsome, you can tell by the name Winsome, is a Jamaican woman. And she's a Republican. Winsome Earl Sears. I want you to pay attention around what's going on here. She's not the first. In fact, I am learning of another particular Jamaican who I grew up with, who is planning to run as a Republican for Congress in Florida. When I have time and the inclination, I will come back and tell you my thoughts around that, but not today. So there's a major history-making vote in Virginia happening in the elections today. There's a history-making vote happening in New York City for the mayoral race. We have history-making vote here in Pennsylvania around the Supreme Court justices. We have a history-making vote around the retention of the judges in the Philadelphia courts. All of this is important, right? Okay, let me read some of these. Lord Jesus. Thank you all. I see you all. Rosalind Smith, I will vote when I get off. Good morning, everyone. Tamara Brooks says, I have 4 seniors, different parts of the city to transport today before and after work. One is my 89-year-old grandmother. Thank you, Tamara, for making that happen. Winetta Smith said, I did my research yesterday and heading out to vote as we are going as a family. In fact, let me reach out to my sons this morning. Thank you for reminding me for that. Usually on election day, I will say, get up, whatever you planning to do. I know my youngest son has more of an opportunity, and my oldest one usually gets to vote just before, with his 3 children, his 3 dogs, and his wife, just before the polls close. Alexandra Brooks says, good morning, Mova and everyone. Have an amazing, please vote and keep us election workers in prayer. Absolutely. There has been conversation about the safety of election workers in recent years. It's becoming a little bit more volatile at the polling booths, but they have people, specifically with Omar Sabir and some of the pastors, that are pulling men together to show up at the polling booths in Philadelphia. Oh, my brain. Dr. Jana says, thank you for the election information. Dr. Jana, it may seem tedious to those who are watching, but a lot of people just don't know who to vote for or where to vote or who are the people running for elections. And so it is my responsibility, and I've been doing this for years. I don't tell you who to vote for. I tell you who the people are running for what seat, etc. And I try to interview as many people as possible, Republican, Democrat, Independent, right? Alexandra says, America needs to remember the next time they recite the Pledge of Allegiance, it was written by a socialist. Joanne Kemp says, Cuomo is right. Mandani doesn't have experience with sexually assaulting. What? What are you talking about? Oh, I see what you mean. She said Cuomo was right. Mandani doesn't have experience with sexually assaulting 11 women. That is her dig at Cuomo. Woo, you all are vicious this morning. Okay. Let's see what else is happening here. Good morning, Gene Smith. The blacks are not feeling Winsome, who is a black female Republican. Yep, they're not. They're absolutely not. And there is a contingency of Jamaicans who believe the only way they can win elections is if they're Republicans. But we going, stop it, Andrea. Say less. Say less. Say less, Andrea. Sometimes, because I'm famous for not saying certain things at certain times, even though I know what the issue is. So we're going to discuss this on another day. My concern this morning is that you get up and you go vote. You take as many people as you can to go vote, right? Just please. I believe, Shaquilla. Thank you, my darling. So I'm going to give you the voter guide for Abington. Thank you, Shaquilla. So in Abington Town, stop it. The general election is today, and residents in Abington, Jenkintown, Rockledge, and Cheltenham will cast votes for municipal offices and the Abington, Jenkintown, and Cheltenham school boards. School board election. Gene Smith says, I completed and returned my mail-in ballot 3 weeks ago. Important. The election technically has already begun, as mail-in votes have started to return to Montgomery County. For the general elections, residents vote for contested and uncontested races for the Democrat and Republican parties. Some school board members are cross-filing in both parties. Yes, they've done this in many times. When I ran for school board, you can cross-file as a Republican or Democrat, and you can win on both sides. I won on both sides. It's another story. Abington School Board. 7 candidates are seeking 4 four-year terms on the Abington School Board. Brian Allen, Roy Bant, who Jr., is a Republican, Adrian Fletcher, who is Democrat, Angelique Frazier, who is Democrat, Yassine Mohammed, Democrat, who I believe already sits on the board, Joseph O'Brien, Republican, and Joseph J. Rooney, Republican. Rooney is still running? Still running for office? In the Cheltenham School Board, 4 incumbent school directors are running for 4 four-year terms. Zachary Epps, Democrat, Leah Mulhern, Democrat, Daniel Schultz, Democrat, Carolyn Watts, Democrat. In the Jenkintown School Board, 5 candidates seek 4 4-year terms. Laura Ego, Democrat, Republican. Jonathan Litwinitz. I'm sorry, I keep messing up these people's names. Litwinowicz. Bob Kohep, Common Sense Party. I'm only telling you what is happening. Lisa Smith, who filed on both sides, and Jason Tucker, who was filed on both sides. In the Abington Township Municipal Office, the tax collector vote for one, Giuseppe Bucci, who is a Republican, and Karen Gell Sanchez, who is the Democrat, running for tax collector. In the Board of Commissioners, and they have a bunch of wards, right? There's Ward 2, Jeffrey Rosenbaum, who's a Democrat, Daniel Donnelly, who's a Republican. In Ward 4, Jimmy Placido, oh, that's my friend Lisa's husband, and who's a Democrat, and Joe Dunn, who's a Republican. In Ward 6, Jeffrey Brown, another friend of mine's husband, Democrat. That's Shamika Brown's husband. I'm sorry, Ward 6, Jeffrey Brown, Democrat. Maria Della Monica, who is a Republican. In Ward 8, Lori Henry is the Democrat. Christine Young Gertz is the Democrat. In Ward 10, Amy Haviland is the Republican. Christine Young Gertz is the Democrat. Ward 12, Matthew Vahey, who is a Democrat. And in Ward 14, Lori Schreiber is a Democrat. And so here, let me tell you where to go. To go to patch.com, and you'll be able to see all the people running for elections in the local Montgomery County offices for commissioner, for school board, for tax collector, because I can't run down all of this. It'll take me until 7:30. So go to the patch.com and look for the election guide, Abington area voter guide, who's on the ballot and where to vote. Okay, so go to patch.com for that. Now I'm going to go over a little bit here. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. This is not a sexy show today because we're talking about voting. I literally need you all to get up, grab your people. If you're under the sound of my voice, grab your people and tell them, get up and go vote. In Pennsylvania, the polls opened 6 minutes ago. So the polls are officially open. Instead of watching me, I'm going to ask you to listen, take your phone, whatever else, and go to the polls, stand in line, and go vote, right? Please make sure your votes are informed. You've heard all the conversation. The Philadelphia Inquirer has covered all sorts of stories about voting. People have been online pontificating about voting. But remember, sitting around you right now, people who don't have access to food, hundreds of thousands of people who have lost their jobs. We are literally in a decline here in Pennsylvania and around the country in some parts. Food is so expensive. We can't afford the rent that we're paying. For the elections in 2024, it was about eggs. Now it's about our livelihood. It's about not being able to pay for the basic needs of our citizens, so the citizenry. So I want you to pay attention to who you're voting for and vote like I'm not even going to say like your life depended upon it, because we've had a two-party system the entire time, and I don't even know what to say about what's been going on, which is why I am thrilled to see people jumping in these races that you wouldn't ordinarily see or vote for, right? Because we've always talked about, we got to go talk to this one and get the endorsement. And I get it. There are protocols and things that you have to follow. But when we put people in office that don't give us the results, people feel like, nothing is happening, so I'm not going out to vote. The only way we can shut that down is to when folks get elected to office, they show up and they do what they say they're going to do. That's the only way. And so a huge part of the issue for why people aren't voting is not because they're lazy or because they don't care, is because they don't see a difference. I said it, I meant it, and I need you all to figure it out. So instead of, puffing up your shoulders and saying, I can't believe this is the conversation that we're having, drop your shoulder blades, humble yourselves and say, what can I do to make a difference for my constituents beyond having, concerts and balloon blow-ups and, meetings. I sat in a meeting yesterday that was so damn productive. I was like, oh my God, here we go. There are people who are thinking through what needs to happen for the citizens of this city. debunking, redoing the whole system, getting up to date with the data. That's important. That's important because otherwise, all the stuff that's going on is going to leave us in behind, and people are going to become more frustrated, and you will see no votes. People will not show up to vote, and so let's all take a bit of this responsibility. And now I'm noticing the phones of Lord have mercy. I wish y'all never had access to our phone numbers because every time you turn around, we know you voted on this time. We can't tell who you voted for, but we know who you voted for. If we think you live here, well, why are you all doing this? Stop it. Stop it. Joanne Kemp says, I've received several pamphlets from the Republican Party for this election, none from the Democrats. That certainly didn't sway my voting, but the Democratic Party needs to do better because there's an assumption that they'll just put it on your phones and, be more updated. But there's some people who still want to see their pamphlet come in the mail. We saw 2 for Supreme Court justices. That was it. That's all we got. And I don't know what everybody else got. It is what it is. So let me do a little bit of national local news. Shit. Oops, sorry. Discussed. The death toll from Hurricane Melissa has climbed to more than 60 across the Caribbean as rescue and recovery efforts continue in the wake of the historic storm, per USA Today. On Tuesday, October 28th, Melissa made landfall in Jamaica as a Category 5 hurricane with winds reaching 185 miles per hour, the most powerful storm ever to strike the island. The Jamaican government has confirmed 28 deaths, while additional fatalities have been reported in Haiti and Dominican Republic, where heavy flooding caused widespread destruction. Every single life lost is a huge tragedy, Dana Morris Dixon, Jamaica's Minority of Education, Skills, Youth, and Information, said in a statement. We have never had a Category 5 hurricane in our country. The devastation in the West is unimaginable. I want to let you all know that that's Westmoreland, St. Elizabeth. Mandeville is more middle part of the country. But in Westmoreland, just like that whole parish is gone, right? And the stench from death but they can't get there. They cannot get there to get to the bodies, etc. So that number in Jamaica for 28 is people dead, confirmed dead, is going to rise, right? The Trump administration, this was written by Black Information Network News. The Trump administration says SNAP will be partially funded in November. President Donald Trump's administration said Monday it will, the day before the election, Black Jesus, it will partially fund SNAP after a pair of judges' rulings required it to keep the food aid program running. The U.S. Department of Agriculture had planned to freeze payments to the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program starting November 1st because it said it could no longer keep funding it due to the shutdown. The program serves about 1 in 8 Americans. 1 in 8. We should be ashamed of ourselves. Richest country in the world. And SNAP has to serve 1 in 8 Americans and is a major piece of the national social safety net. It costs about $8 billion per month nationally. It is not clear how much beneficiaries will receive, nor how quickly beneficiaries will see value show up on the debit cards they use to buy groceries. The process of loading the SNAP cards, which involves steps by state and federal government agencies and vendors, can take up to 2 weeks in some states. The average monthly benefit is usually about $190 per person. This is 6abcnews.com. President Donald Trump has come under fire after he hosted a Great Gatsby-themed Halloween party just hours before millions of Americans lost their Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program benefits. The Friday night fete at Mar-a-Lago was themed "A Little Party Never Killed Nobody," according to the White House, referencing the song from the 2013 film adaptation of the Scott Fitzgerald novel. Guests were seen wearing 1920s attire, and there were hosts in flapper attire greeting the invitees, which included Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Ivanka and Tiffany Trump, and their husbands, Jared Kushner and Michael Bolas. This was ABC6ABC.com that was written on November 1st. Lord have mercy. A federal judge in Oregon on Sunday barred President Trump's administration from deploying the National Guard to Portland, Oregon until at least Friday, saying she found no credible evidence that protests in the city grew out of control before the president federalized the troop earlier this fall. The city and state sued in September to block the deployment. It's the latest development in weeks of legal back and forth in Portland, Chicago, and other U.S. cities as the Trump administration has moved. Breaking news. Dick Cheney died. Dick Cheney, who was once vice president of the United States, has died. Whoa. Okay. Dick Cheney has passed away. He was so instrumental as vice president in the Iraqi war right after 9/11 and the buildings came down, the Twin Towers came down in New York City. Go look him up and see. I'm sure the news will be flooded about him. His daughter, Liz Cheney, is the one that has been fighting the current president of the United States. She lost her seat and she did not care. She did not care. She said, this is not good. And we've got to do something about it. Carlene says she is number 11 at her polling place. Dick Cheney, Vice President Dick Cheney, who was vice president for George W. Bush, has died. This is breaking news, and you will see it show up, I'm sure, everywhere. Oh, Father God. Operation Clean Sweep. In Norristown, Pennsylvania, prosecutors gathered on Monday to discuss Operation Clean Sweep, a drug trafficking crackdown aimed at crushing the pipeline of drugs running from Philadelphia to the city's collar counties. Attorney General Dave Sunday and prosecutors from Philadelphia's collar counties announced the results of a two-phase drug trafficking operation on Monday. Operation Clean Sweep targeted alleged drug traffickers buying illicit substances from Philadelphia. Let me do this. My mind is telling me to do something else. Hold on. I'm going to cover this for Dick Cheney. Oliver Ann Cleary wrote this for Time. Dick Cheney, the Republican who served alongside President George W. Bush for 2 terms between 2001 and 2009 and is commonly regarded as one of the most influential vice presidents in U.S. history, has died at the age of 84. Cheney, who was a leading voice behind the invasion of Iraq, passed away on Monday night as a result of complications of pneumonia and cardiac and vascular disease, per a statement from his family. Remember, he had had a heart transplant and just his heart was failing. So I believe, and let me not say that, I believe he needed a heart transplant. Not quite sure. Let me keep reading the news. For decades, Dick Cheney served our nation, including as White House Chief of Staff, Wyoming's Congressman, Secretary of Defense, and Vice President of the United States. The statement read, acknowledging that Cheney served father-son Presidents George H.W. Bush and George W. Bush. Dick Cheney was a great and good man who taught his children and grandchildren to love our country and to live lives of courage, honor, love, kindness, and fly fishing. We are grateful beyond measure for all Dick Cheney did for our country, and we are blessed beyond measure to have been loved and been loved by this noble giant of a man. Cheney is survived by his beloved wife of 61 years, Lynn, his daughter Liz and Mary, and other family members were with him as he passed. The former vice president's daughter, Liz Cheney, is an attorney and the former representative of Wyoming. She, along with her late father, notably incurred the wrath of President Donald Trump when she became a vocal critic of him. Liz was ostracized by Trump-backed Republicans after she sat as one of 10 House Republicans who voted to impeach Trump over allegations that he incited the assault on the U.S. Capitol on January 6, 2021. Dick Cheney released a statement announcing his endorsement of Democratic nominee, then Vice President Kamala Harris, for president over Trump in September 2024. Speaking out against Trump, Cheney argued he could never be trusted with power again. This is a developing story, so I'm sure we'll hear more. I had to do that. I couldn't just move on, say he was dead and then move on. I had to cover a little bit about him and who he was. Joanne says, Alexandra says, 15 votes so far where she's voting. Get the people out to vote, y'all, please. Joanne Kemp says, I guess the Republican crew celebrating the Great Gatsby theme weren't aware of our probability, could care far less about the real moral and cautionary meaning of the book. Lord have mercy. Dick Cheney has died, y'all. Hold on. In Kabul, Afghanistan, this is international news. A powerful 6.3 magnitude earthquake shook northern Afghanistan before dawn Monday, killing at least 20 people and injuring more than 640 others, as well as damaging the historic Blue Mosque, officials say. The number of people killed or injured could rise, officials said. In the town of Qom, near the epicenter, people dug through the rubble of collapsed mud brick homes with shovels and picked through debris to salvage what belongings they could. That's happening. My father always used to say, fire, water, and earthquake are exacting masters. And no matter how strong you build your home, in Jamaica, the homes are built with concrete with steel poles in between the concretes. And that Category 5 hurricane swept the bricks away from the steel poles and took the wind, just took people's roofs and their entire homes and flattened them. So, oh boy. That was written by 6abc.com about the earthquake in Afghanistan. 2 U.S. citizens arrested in alleged ICE-inspired Halloween plot. 2 men were arrested on Friday for allegedly plotting an ISIS-inspired Halloween attack in Michigan, according to court records unsealed on Monday. This is national news. The men allegedly used the term Pumpkin Day for their plans, according to the complaint. Attorney General Pam Bondi thanked the FBI for stopping the plot before innocent lives were lost. Mohammed Ali and Majid Mahmoud, both U.S. citizens, allegedly bought a shotgun, an AR-15 style rifle, and forced reset trigger that allows a shooter to increase the rate of fire in a semi-automatic weapon, according to the complaint. This was written by 6abc.com. SEPTA is expanding its red bus lines to 3 new parts of Philadelphia, the agency announced on Monday. The agency will add lanes. This is local news. The agency will add lanes to corridors in Center City and South Philadelphia on sections of Chestnut Street, Walnut Street, and Oregon Avenue. These are identified as Tier 1 priority corridors in the city's 2021 transition plan. The lanes will be along Chestnut Street between Broad and 21st, Walnut between Broad and 19th, and Oregon between 5th and Front Streets. In May, the Philadelphia Parking Authority began issuing tickets to drivers for illegally parking or stopping in bus lanes. Some SEPTA buses and trolleys are also equipped with cameras and artificial technology. Tickets cost $76 in Center City and $51 everywhere else. Work on Oregon Avenue will begin Monday night, weather permitting. So when you see those red lanes, kind of take your behinds and not drive in them and park in them unless you are turning the corner to go on another street. I got a $51 ticket because I didn't see the line. The lane was a bus lane, and I saw the big X, right? So I didn't park there. I parked behind that, but apparently that's a part of the bus lane. So you got to pay attention to the signs up above, okay? and make sure that you're not parking in those lanes. And you're just gonna have to walk some more. So because the city will make a ton of money off of these parking. A friend of mine said her wife pulled up into a spot, looked at it, saw that it wasn't the right spot, pulled off and went somewhere else, and she still got a ticket because the camera took a picture of her license plate, and that was the end of that. Right? Even though she did not stay there once she realized where she was parked. So be very careful where you pull up, because these cameras are out there taking pictures, and you will get a ticket. And they'll send you a picture of your license plate and say, but you were here, right? Whoo. President Donald Trump is defending his administration's ongoing ICE raids, saying its violent operations haven't gone far enough. During an interview with 60 Minutes on Sunday, November 2nd, Trump said he was okay with how the agency has operated after recent videos showed ICE agents tackling a young mother, deploying tear gas in a Chicago neighborhood, and shamishing car windows. Ooh. I think they haven't gone far enough because we have been held back by the judges, by the liberal judges that were put in by Biden and by Obama, Trump told interviewer Nora O'Donnell. O'Donnell noted that illegal crossings at the southern border are at a 55-year low. She also pressed the president on reports that many deported individuals are not violent offenders. This is Black Information News Network. Black Information Network News. That was reported from there. Again, in local news, a 15-year-old was injured after being shot while sitting on a front stoop of a South Philadelphia home. It happened around 1 a.m. on Monday in the 1900 block of Woodstock Street near Mifflin Street. A stray bullet also left a hole in a window of a home, and another hit by a nearby car. Police say the 15-year-old victim was sitting on the front step with family members when they heard gunshots and was shot twice in his leg. Police believe the shots came from a distance. The teen was rushed to shop and is stable. Oh, God. That was written by 6abc.com. Federal health officials announced the death toll has risen in an ongoing listeria outbreak linked to recalled pasta meals as more states report new cases of illnesses and hospitalizations. The Food and Drug Administration confirmed 2 more deaths, and 7 new illnesses from 3 states have been reported since their last update on September 25th. As of October 30th, a total of 27 persons across 18 states have been infected with the outbreak strain of listeria, which has also killed 6 people. The deaths were reported in Hawaii, Illinois, Michigan, Oregon, Texas, and Utah. Of the 27 people sickened, 25 were hospitalized, and 1 pregnancy-associated illness resulted in a fetal loss, according to the FDA. The agency urged consumers to double-check their freezers for the recalled foods, which were sold at grocery chains nationwide, including Trader Joe's, Walmart, Kroger's, and Albertson. Consumers should not eat or serve these products and are advised to throw them out or return them to the place for a refund. This is NBC Philadelphia. I'm going to open this up because I want to see what's the name of the foods, if they named them. So the recalled pasta products came from Nate's Fine Foods of Roseville, California. The recalls impact certain lots of pre-cooked pastas, including fettuccine, linguine, and bowtine. Sprouts Farmers Market smoked mozzarella pasta salad. Get rid of that. Giant Eagle smoked mozzarella pasta salad. Kroger store recalled deli bow tie and pen pasta salads, sold on October 29th through October 2nd. Scott and John shrimp scampi with linguine bowls. This is Dermer's Food Group recall, right? And Trader Joe's Cajun style blackened chicken breast fettuccine Alfredo, 16-ounce plastic tray. If you have it in your freezer, get rid of it. Albertson stores recall store-made deli pasta salads. Get rid of it if you have that. Market side linguine with beef meatballs and marinara sauce. If you have that in your freezer, get rid of it. Market side grilled chicken Alfredo with fettuccine. If you have that, get rid of it. Home Chef chicken fettuccine Alfredo. Whew. Okay. All right. So those are the ones. Um, Make sure you take a look at them. Look at what's in your freezer, and make sure that you do it. Auntie says, Laura says, voted. I was the first one in the district. Yes, Joanne says, I read Dick Cheney endorsed Kamala Harris. Yes, he did. He did not want the current president to become president of the United States because he said he was dangerous and should not ever be in office ever again. Well, he's now president of the United States. And as you can see, um, what's happening here, we just have to kind of figure out and navigate how we move from there. So please, I'm using my last minute to say this to you. Get out and vote. The polling stations opened 30 minutes ago. In Pennsylvania, the Supreme Court judges are absolutely important. In Philadelphia, the family court judges are absolutely important. The district attorney's office, important, right? Those who are running for and it just went right out my head. Just go look at the ballots, right? And so you can see, don't leave anything to chance. Go on out and vote and do what you need to do. I have to get up out of here and do my responsibility and get my day going. So this episode of Mornings with Mother is officially over. I am Mother. I'll see you when I see you. Bye, everybody. Bye-bye.